I hate my husband's family. My relationship with my husband was incredibly rocky when we were dating due to his attachment to his family. I remember the first year during Thanksgiving I asked to spend time together and he told me he was busy. Turned out he just didn't want to drive over to my place and would rather spend time with his parents and sister and her kids. This was one of many instances where he would choose his family over me. I felt very insecure then and felt as though he loved them unconditionally but not me and would continuously put them before me. I would voice these insecurities to him and he would tell me he puts me first, but truth be told, I didn't feel that way. We rarely fight, but when we do, it's always about his family. Before our engagement and marriage, I could tell that he was trying hard to prove to me that he puts me first, but I knew that deep inside the attachment was still there, because I had to ask for the things he did for me. Whereas with his family, he'd drop everything and it's as if it's within his nature to protect them and do things for them without prompting. I don't know how else to describe it, but his love for me doesn't seem natural as it does for his family. Flash forward 6 years later now and we're married. We have our own house and finally things are looking brighter, except his family is still an issue, particularly his sister and her kids. I understand it's hard being a parent, but the sister does nothing to discipline her children. Her daughter is 5, and her son is 3 and knows roughly 10 words. During family functions at the grandparents' house, I have to sit there and witness her daughter screeching and screaming at the top of her lungs for minutes on end for fun, throw cups filled with water on the floor, and the grandparents would clap and lead her on. Both the daughter and son would open cabinet doors and slam them shut, and the list just goes on and on. This really upsets me as is, because I really wish those kids would be disciplined and be taught to be respectful of others' properties. At this point I'm near the end of my rope, and the straw that broke the camel's back happened last week when both our families were invited to our new home to celebrate. As soon as the sister with her kids and husband, the kids rushed inside the house and ran into the master bedroom. There the 3-year-old started pounding on the full-body mirror in the corner of the room. I immediately told him to stop, and the grandparents had the audacity to say, "Tell him to stop, he's going to hurt himself," while the sister just stood there and said nothing. I was already upset by what the kid did, but I was made more upset that they cared about the kid's well-being, but not others' property. After this commotion, the kid then ran to the living room and joined his sister in pulling the outlet protectors out of the electrical outlets and started to poke their fingers into them, something they've done with no repercussion at the grandparents' house. I told them stop before they get hurt, and the grandparents just said, "Just let them play, they do this at our house and they've never gotten hurt." At this point I was just absolutely speechless. But things didn't stop here. The daughter proceeded to go to the kitchen and ask her mom for water. Once she got it, she pulled the cap off and spilled water all over the floor. The son, having witnessed this, started crying. After this they then went over to the windows and pulled down the blinds from the center as far as possible, almost breaking them. The daughter then started screeching and rummaging through my refrigerator while the son pulled a carbon monoxide detector out of the electrical outlet and set it off. All of this happened and the sister and her husband said nothing. And then on their way out, Grandma took a plastic bag out of her bag and proceeded to take 5 out of the 10 apples that she supposedly bought for my husband and I for our new house and placed them in the plastic bag and gave them to the sister. After all of this, I told my husband I never want those kids in this house ever again until they are older and more disciplined. My husband then had the audacity to tell me that he wants them over again and promises that he would look and clean up after them. He told me he would have a conversation with his sister and tell her to control her kids. I told him, had this been a solution, why haven't you said anything, because this is not something new. I told him those kids are spoiled and undisciplined and they will never be disciplined because they're placed on a pedestal. The grandparents will never say anything negative because the sister has restricted their access to her kids when they caused her even the slightest of inconveniences. I asked him why he's so willing to go through so much for his family, at the risk of causing me so much stress and havoc on our new house that we worked so hard to get. Instances like these are reasons why I continue to question his unhealthy attachment towards his family and willingness to go the extra mile for them. I just don't know how things can be perfectly fine, but the moment his family is involved things turn into hell. To be honest, I'm not even sure I'm looking for advice. I just wanted to vent and I'm stressed out of my mind. I was appalled, my parents were appalled. It's been a week and I still vividly remember everything that's happened. I'm a little confused about why you went on to marry him if you hated them all so much. If he's happy with them and enjoys his time when he's around them, why would you want to change that? They're clearly important to him, I'm surprised you hating them wasn't a red flag for him as well. It sounds like the kids are ridiculous and that definitely needs to be addressed by him to his sister, especially if he wants them to come over again. These are the worst situations that come up on here, because you're in a place where this has been who he is since day one, and yet you pushed forward with making your relationship legal nonetheless. It sucks, but this is the person you agreed to marry. The one where you come second. I imagine you assumed things would just magically change over time, but had no reason to believe that, and unfortunately, you still don't. You need to wake up to the reality of who your husband is. You've talked about it ad nauseum. He made his decision. At this point, the hard truth is you're either looking at dealing with this for the duration of your marriage, or it's time to walk away. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. Good luck. Sounds like there's fault on both sides here. It was totally reasonable for him to want to spend Thanksgiving with his family over you when you hadn't even been dating that long. That's not unhealthy. So his family has bad boundaries, and you're also a little possessive. Bad overall combo. The simple solution is to make yourself scarce when they come to visit. Take your husband up on his offer to clean up after they leave. Are you estranged from your own family? I ask because you don't seem to comprehend why your husband's family is important to him. You seems to consider his family as a threat. Like if he's loving them he cannot love you? We do not cut love and give apart to others, love just growth. I think you should try to reconsider how you consider your husband and your relationship. This is not supposed to be. Only me exist for him, he cannot have love and happiness with someone else, only me, because this is what I see in your post. Find someone to talk to. Good luck in all that mess. You are weirdly possessive of your husband. Maybe talk about that. And then being mad that people worry more of the well-being of a child than your possessions? Come on. Let your husband handle his family, he offered and you just put the most important things away. Can you lock doors in your house? I would recommend doing that so to contain the children to the common area and put your most prized things away. This is 100% on you. You married him knowing all of this. No sympathy. Holy shit. He wanted to spend time with his family on Thanksgiving. Location flag, location flag, location flag, break up. My 44 female daughter, 17 female, hates me ever since she was diagnosed. Edit. Well, let me just say that I am very disappointed. I came here for advice and instead got attacked by many people telling me I am controlling, that I am a bad parent, that I should just let my daughter make all the life decisions she wants while she is a child. I doubt any of you have children, and I hope you never feel the pain I am feeling right now, when your child says she hates you and that she wishes you weren't her mother. This fight between me and my daughter has been going on for close to a year now, and I'm getting pretty tired of it. I, 44 female, have 2 daughters, Alex, 17 female, and Emily, 14 female. When she was young, around 4, Emily was diagnosed with level 3 autism. I was told many heartbreaking things, including that she would never be independent. Emily is still like a young child, she never matured mentally past age 3. And while her condition is sometimes hard to deal with, I love her just the way she is. But this story is about my other daughter, Alex. Alex seemed pretty normal growing up, but as she got older, I noticed things about her that made me suspect she might have autism too. She's a very picky eater and always had trouble making friends. She has special interests like cartoons and sometimes behaves immaturely for her age. I wanted to get Alex evaluated by a professional, so I spoke to her pediatrician about it. What I didn't expect was for Alex to get so angry with me. She refused to even entertain the idea that she might not be normal, and even the doctor agreed that at 16, this was last year, she was mature enough to make her own medical decisions. Now, I don't agree with this at all. Like I said, Alex is very immature and she is still a minor. But apparently, she is mature enough to make all her medical decisions at age 16, when she can't even obtain her own driver's license due to sheer laziness. Over the next few months, Alex and I fought a lot about the idea. I didn't know why she was so against it. From my point of view, surely if she had autism, she would have been struggling in school unnecessarily, and we could get her help like Emily. But Alex viciously tore me down every time, saying she never wanted to know, that she wasn't like Emily. I never said she was. That it was her decision. There were many tears on both sides. Finally, Alex agreed to get evaluated. I found a doctor who evaluates and, what do you know, Alex was diagnosed with level 2 autism. I did not rub this in her face, but I was relieved to know that I was correct and that we could now get Alex the help she needed. But ever since then, Alex has been awful. She cried all the way home from the appointment, which is ridiculous. She shuts herself up in her room all day. She has stopped talking to her friends because, in her words, retards don't have friends. She refuses to think about plans for college because, in her words, retards don't go to college. The fighting has gotten much worse. She screamed at me once that the diagnosis had ruined her entire life. And I know teenagers are melodramatic, but she's just being silly at this point. She accused me of horrible things that simply aren't true. I reached out to the agency that provides Emily her support worker because, since Alex acts like she is depressed, she needs someone to take her out of the house and she won't go with me or her dad. I organized a meeting, but once again Alex screamed at me, saying, she doesn't need a babysitter like Emily. I am very disappointed in her attitude. If she is calling herself a retard, what does she think of her poor sister? This has been very upsetting to me as I only tried to do the right thing. I want what is best for my daughters, always. Alex is being very stubborn, she always has been, but her behavior right now is disgusting and I just don't know what to do. I have been talking to my friends about it, and they all said that one day Alex will be grateful to me that she has this important medical information, but it's hard to believe that when she screams in my face that she hates me and I ruined her life. Did I do the right thing? I am asking a few different subreddits for advice, because I don't know what to do anymore. I give up. I know I am not perfect, but I don't know what she expects from me. I guess nothing I do is ever good enough for her. It sounds like the whole family could use therapy. I think she needs some positive examples of autism. People that are successful, happy, or just have pretty normal lives. Maybe that having a non-neurotypical brains has its advantages in life. You knew what she expected of you. You just wanted to push ahead with your own agenda regardless of how she felt. You bulldozed past her feelings and completely invalidated her emotions and want to not know. Now, you continue to invalidate her feelings and are surprised she isn't reacting well. People, even immature people, don't like to feel they're not being listened to or respected. You didn't listen to your daughter and now are surprised. Outside of being a picky eater, having a few friends and God forbid enjoys cartoons, was she failing at school? Do you know how hard it is for an autistic person to communicate problems, even with their parents? I do. Because I am one. Do you even know how hard it is to be told you're autistic? That shit isn't the same as being diagnosed as a strep throat. No, you feel heartbroken, disgusted with yourself. Like you are now a problem. Your daughter needs more therapy and assurance you will not be there to hurt her, but only to help. You might even want to get yourself therapy. However, the way you reacted to her whole breakdown is just a bit wrong to me. A calm discussion and maybe some motherly hugs can help calm her down. I know I am not perfect, but I don't know what she expects from me. I think she wanted you to listen. I think she wanted to feel in control of her life. I think she wanted her fears acknowledged and not dismissed. This girl is terrified her diagnosis will set her apart from her peers and hold her back in life. I think she wanted to hear that whilst her sister may always need support, her diagnosis does not mean the same for her. You didn't allow her any agency. You didn't work with her. And now she cannot trust you. Please get her therapy. Immature or not, autistic or not, your daughter is a whole person. Technically a minor, but really a young adult. Show her that you respect her autonomy. Her feelings are more important than doing what you think is best. Within reason. It's not unreasonable that she doesn't want to be like her sister. There are different kinds of autistics. She has a right to take her time and figure this out on her own. She's not a baby and she's not her sister. And until you realize this stuff, nothing is going to change, no matter how right you think you are. You're an awful mother. Poor Alex. Appa's completely clueless LMAO. Even with narrator's bias she doesn't have a good case here lol. Update. I think we might be dating? My 23F roommate, 23F, keeps crying in the middle of the night. Previous post. Didn't get a ton of traction on my last post, but I honestly had no idea what to do in the comments. Helped me out a lot, I think. And I don't know who to talk to about this IRL, so here's an update. After she got home from class the next day, I asked her if she wanted to get dinner. I thought it'd be good to just talk more and see if she would open up, or if not I could at least cheer her up a little bit by doing something fun. We usually small talk when we're both in the apartment but haven't actually hung out a lot one-on-one, so she seemed surprised that I asked but said yes. When we were figuring out places to go, she offhandedly mentioned that she was dying to go to this fancy Italian restaurant that just opened up and always has a line wrapped around the block. I'd heard of the place and wanted to go too, so I said fuck it, let's go. We got all dressed up and got there hella early for dinner, like 4 p.m., waited 30 minutes, and got a table. We ate until I felt like a balloon and had a blast. And I don't know, during the dinner it just felt like something changed? Both of us usually walk around the house looking like trolls lol, so I was just seeing her in a totally different light. She seemed a lot more shy than usual, and I was kinda self-conscious too. I wasn't going into it thinking it was a date or anything, but I started getting that vibe. On our walk home, we got to talking about stuff we haven't really talked about before. Our families, what we want to do in the future, past relationships, etc. And then she got quiet and said that she'd been going through a really hard time recently because she had moved states for grad school, and it was basically the first time she'd had to live far away from her parents and make new friends. A ton of her childhood friends went to the same high school and college as her. She thanked me for asking her to hang out and said she really appreciated it. I was glad I probably figured out the reason she was crying and helped a little, but also the way she looked at me and smiled made me extremely nervous. We watched a movie together at the apartment that was frankly boring as hell, but then she fell asleep on my shoulder. I woke her up when it was over and we both went to bed, separately lol if I have to clarify, but now I think I might have a massive crush on her. We haven't really had a conversation about it since, we've both just been flirty and I have no idea where this will go. But I'm really glad that I asked her out to dinner. Don't rush to the dating idea so fast. She probably feels overwhelmed being somewhere that she doesn't know anybody and with a support structure. It was definitely a good thing that you asked her to dinner as she needs someone to talk to and not feel so alone with her thoughts. Who knows? But you both may develop feelings. I'm not saying that it won't happen, but maybe not right now. Just keep being nice and don't push too hard or you will make her feel uncomfortable, especially since you live together and she won't have somewhere to go if she doesn't feel the same way. Like I said, keep being nice and talking to her and see what happens. If you continue feeling this way and think she does too, talk to her about it and find out what she thinks. I would hold off on bringing up dating. She is lonely, isolated, and vulnerable. Your active friendship seems to have greatly improved her mental state. If you ask her out and get shot down or if it goes poorly, that will make living with her awkward, and it sounds like you two still have a lot of time on your lease. Keep hanging out, stay friends, give her time to adjust to her city, and don't make a move. If in a couple months you get a good vibe, definitely go for it, but rushing will just fuck up your living situation and isn't fair to her while she is emotionally fragile. Edit to add. Good luck and please keep us updated. This story is wholesome AF. Wholesome AF. Warms my heart to read it. My question is, what's the difference between a friend date and a romantic date? How do you know she's into you like that too? Regardless, I think you made her really happy. You D9NT want yo rush her into something while she is vulnerable. Make sure she knows that you are there for her and when she feels ready to date she will let you know. Sounds like something is growing between you. Oh, and at home be yourself and not awkward. Examples of y'all being flirty? I'll be honest, it seems like you're rushing into this idea. As others have said, you know she is vulnerable and feels isolated, and the danger of asking if she feels romantic toward you when she might just be looking for a close friend is further isolating her. Just treat her as a good friend and let her make a move if you are maybe interested in things going that way, or at least wait until she feels overall more comfortable. She's your roommate, super vulnerable, and has no other support networks. Rushing into dating is such a bad idea. I think we might be dating? No. I'm sorry, no. You are not dating just because of this interaction. If something progresses between the two of you, then great, I'm happy for you. But it is very likely you are just reading the situation wrong, and she was just happy to have someone to spend time with and open up to. Update. I've, 29M, fallen pretty hard for my brother's ex, 31 female, and I'm not sure what to do. Edit. Original post. The support and encouragement I got from my last post was really helpful. After some time to really think about it, I decided to have a talk with Julie, bro's ex. The one thing I wanted to clear with her was that no matter what happens, we can't let it affect my relationship with my niece. She's the one who's more important here. Julie cried a little when we talked. She's been having these feelings for me about 2 years now. But she was always scared that something would happen, then I'd leave them. And then when we kissed and I didn't say anything, she took it as I didn't feel the same way, so that hurt her. It broke my heart a little for not speaking up and addressing what happened, so that she wouldn't feel this rejection. I told her I loved her. Completely unexpected, yeah. Definitely too soon, but it came out of me. But whatever can't put the genie back in the bottle. She told me she loved me too though, and we wanna try to make this work. We got to kiss again, and this time it felt better than the first. It's only been a couple weeks, we've been on about 6 dates so far, counting lunches dates too lol. And one outing with my niece at the park to have a picnic. Julie's amazing. It still kind of feel weird, but we're easing into it. We're not gonna tell anyone yet. We wanna give each other at least 6 months before deciding to tell my niece about us and everyone else. Not in contact with my brother, but he's not on my mind anymore. I'm just so happy, you guys. I love them both. Always gonna be thinking about my niece. Make sure that she's the one we think about first. The way it's always been. I'm glad I read the last post. I was ready to read you the riot act. Not at all what I was expecting from the title, but wow, good for you both, you deserve this happiness and so does she. Can we get a 6 millionth update? Thank you for updating us. I remember your original post well. It was one of the most touching posts I've seen on this sub. I am so glad you decided to go for it. I am sure the 3 of you will make a lovely family. Now, think you can get your bro to surrender his parental rights so you can adopt? This is so sweet. I remember reading your original post and really rooting for you. I hope it all works out and you continue to make each other happy. It's good you're keeping your niece as your main priority. You stepped up when her dad left a void, and that's pretty amazing. The family may not be supportive. Good for you, bud. Congratulations, man, and great job stepping up after your deadbeat brother ran away. You are your little girl's father no matter what your family says, and enjoy your family and continue to give them all the love they deserve. You are a lucky bastard. Enjoy.